The shift that never ended. You ever look back at something and wonder how you didn't see the warning signs sooner? That gut feeling you ignored, the little things that didn't add up until it was too late? Yeah, that's my story. And trust me, I wish I had listened to my instincts. I used to work at this small office, boring job, nothing exciting. The kind of place where people decorate their desks with family pictures and eat the same sandwich every day. Safe, predictable. That's what I thought, at least. Then there was Brian. At first, he was just a nice guy at work. Always helpful, always around. He'd bring me coffee, remember stupid little things I said, laugh at my jokes, even the bad ones. It was kind of sweet, kind of flattering. So when he asked me out, I said yes. And for a while, it was good. Real good. But then, things got weird. Brian always seemed to know where I was, even when I hadn't told him. I'd casually mention wanting to try a new restaurant, and the next day he'd ask me how my dinner was. I'd stop for gas on my way home, and later he'd ask why I was out so late. I laughed it off, joked that he had psychic powers, but deep down, it made my skin crawl. The night everything changed, I was staying late to finish up a report. The office was dead silent. Just me and the hum of my computer. I was shutting it down when I saw something in the reflection of my monitor. Someone standing behind me. I spun around so fast, my chair nearly tipped over. It was Brian. He wasn't supposed to be there. He wasn't even on shift. But there he was, just watching. I forced a laugh. You scared me. What are you doing here? His face didn't move, didn't blink, just stared, just making sure you get home safe. I told myself he was being sweet, that I was overreacting. But after that, everything escalated. My car started acting up, only at work. And guess who was always right there to offer me a ride? My phone kept buzzing with security alerts. Someone trying to log into my email. And one day I caught him, just standing over my desk, watching me type in my password. When I asked what he was doing, he just smiled. Then came the night I woke up to a notification on my phone. Motion detected. My stomach dropped. I opened the app, my fingers shaking, and saw the grainy black and white footage from my security camera. Someone was outside my window, just standing there, breathing. I stared at the screen, my pulse pounding in my ears. It was hard to make out, but I knew that face. Brian. The next morning at work, I confronted him. Asked him what the hell he was doing outside my house in the middle of the night. He smirked, shrugged, just checking on you. You work late a lot. That was it. I went straight to HR, told them everything. They launched an investigation, and what they found still makes my blood run cold. Brian had installed tracking software on my work computer. He'd been monitoring my emails, my browser history, my schedule. But that wasn't the worst part. It found a folder on his work computer. It had my name on it. Inside, dozens of pictures. Pictures of me, at work, in my car, inside my apartment. To this day, I don't know how he got them. I had my locks changed. got new devices, but I still get that feeling sometimes, like I'm being watched, like he's still out there, waiting. Because the thing is, people like Brian, they don't just stop. And I'll never know if my shift really ended or if it's just beginning. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for spine-chilling horror content. Please share with family and friends. The wrong name on the grave. I never thought I'd be telling this story. Even now, I don't really know how to explain it, but I do know one thing. I was in love with someone who I'm not sure existed. I met Caleb at the coffee shop where I worked. He was my shift supervisor, quiet, kind, always professional. The type of guy who never raised his voice, never got into drama. We got along well, and over time we started hanging out after work with friends. Nothing serious at first, just talking, sharing playlists, grabbing food. Eventually, it turned into more, and I really liked him. One day out of nowhere, he mentioned that he had moved to the city for a fresh start. I remember the way he said it, like it was supposed to mean something more. But at the time, I just smiled and said, "Well, welcome to your fresh start." That was mistake number one. It started with little things. A coworker offhandedly mentioned that Caleb's last name was different than what was on his ID. I joked about it later, asked if he was living some double life. He just laughed it off and said he had changed it for personal reasons. His tone was light, but something in his eyes told me to drop it. So I did. That was mistake number two. Then one night we were at my place watching a movie when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I normally ignore those, but for some reason I picked up. A woman's voice came through, low, serious. "Is Caleb with you?" I glanced at him. He had gone completely still, eyes locked on the screen, but his face had drained of color. "Who is this?" I asked. There was a long pause before she whispered, "Get away from him." Then she hung up. I turned to Caleb, demanding answers, but he wouldn't say a word. Just sat there, shaking his head, staring at the TV like he hadn't heard a thing. That night, I barely slept. The next morning, Caleb was gone, and not just gone, vanished. Didn't show up to work, didn't answer his phone. When I tried calling again, the number was disconnected. That's when I started digging. I took an old photo of Caleb from his Facebook and ran a reverse image search. My stomach dropped when I saw the results. A small town news article, a missing person case. The missing person, Caleb, but the article was from 10 years ago. I read every word, my pulse pounding in my ears. He had disappeared at 19. No leads, no suspects, no body ever found. My breath hitched when I reached the last sentence. His family held a memorial and placed a headstone in the local cemetery. I had to see it for myself. I drove 3 hours to that town, heart hammering the entire way. I don't even remember pulling into the cemetery parking lot. Just that suddenly I was there, standing between rows of headstones, scanning the names until I saw it. His full name, his birth date, date of death, 2014. I felt like the air had been sucked from my lungs. I stepped closer, pressing my fingers against the cold stone, my mind racing. It didn't make sense. He was real. He had to be real. I had touched him, kissed him, spent months with him. I had known his laugh, his voice, his scent. I turned to leave, my head spinning, when I heard something. A faint rustling behind me. I whipped around, scanning the cemetery. Nothing. Just the wind through the trees. And then, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. With shaking hands, I answered. Silence. Then a low whisper. "I told you to get away. I still don't know who." or what I was dating. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for spine-chilling horror content. Please share with family and friends.